Hello, welcome to my fifth devlog. In this video clip I'm just drinking my coffee and showing you some random videos concerning the development of the switches. In this old clip we see how the regular switch looked like in the allegory mode. It had those tiny lids on it. I had also an early prototype of the cross switch. I called it at that time the H switch because it had two parallel lines. And here are some examples how I designed it at that time. Here we can see my very first interpretation of the cross switch for the reality mode. Here we can see how four lines are being taped on the wood, and depending on the position of the lever, certain lines are being connected and certain lines are not being connected. In the sketch mode, those possible connections become more visible. And this was the very first prototype for the allegory mode. Now we see here the most recent prototype. Here have been some major changes. The look of the switches in the reality mode become a bit different. And I also decided to change the whole principle of the cross switch, because in the original version you had to build some circuit cards around the big switch in order to build certain circuits, and with a new switch the crossing of the wires, which was needed at a certain point, was implemented into the switch itself. So I had even here some prototypes, but now the interesting part is that if you go far away, it looks very plausible how two lines can be built in parallel, and if you operate the switch you clearly see how those lines are crossing each other. So this new principle in the allegory mode is a huge improvement, and it makes the understanding of this switch much easier. And also at the T switch I changed the layout of the lids. Now even if there would be real pressure on the pipes, the marbles wouldn't be able to be pushed out. Here we see now some early concept art sketches, and we see the very first idea of the cross switch. We see how the user would have had to build some elements around the main switch in order to build some certain circuits. We also see two examples of switches where the user wouldn't have had to build some cards around the main switch, and I choose one of them. The actual version still doesn't have any lids, but the concept should still be clear. Now at the end, let me also demonstrate you how I implied the cross switch in the cascades model. I decided to connect the ends with large pipes instead of having those walls in between, because I had to assume that the water level, the potential could be the very same at each end, and having the very same potential, I am able with the pipes to move around each other, what I wouldn't be able to if I had this solid walls. Okay, thanks for watching.